Part 99. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 981. Chapter 981. Do you know what will happen to you? Originally, Mr. Mo and his wife were a legal couple with certificates, and they were in Mr. Mo's own company and office. Whatever he wants to do with his wife is legal and normal. However, Wei Zheng also knew in his heart that if Mo found out about this matter, it would probably not be a good thing. For the older generation, being in the company in broad daylight. Mr. Mo is Mo's biological son. She will definitely not have much objection to her son. Mainly the young lady. Maybe Mo will think that the young lady is shameless and seduces her son to do such a thing in broad daylight. Originally, Mo was dissatisfied with the young madam. If she knew again. Sure enough, when Mo heard that Jiao Mian was there, her expression suddenly changed. Looking at the clothes bag Wei Zheng was carrying again, his expression turned ugly again. She soon fell in love with Shenro. Your young lady is here too. Madame Mo stared at the bag of clothes in Wei Zheng's hand with a sullen face, and said with restrained anger, "Did you buy these clothes for her? What did she do? Why do you need you to give them to her? Buying clothes." Shenro saw Mo getting angry and added fuel to her anger. "Assistant Wei Te, if I read it correctly, you bought a set of underwear. What on earth did Mian and Si do? What did you do, want to buy her underwear?" How could Mo not understand the other meaning of her words? Her face suddenly became particularly ugly. When Wei Zheng saw this, he cursed Shenro in his heart and said hurriedly, "Madam, the secretary above accidentally spilled the coffee on the young lady. As you know, you wear thin clothes in summer, so you have to change the whole outfit. Lose. Did you spill the coffee on yourself?" Although Mo's face was still ugly, it was slightly better than before. Wei Zheng nodded heavily, "Yes, coffee spilled on me. The young lady is wearing white clothes again today. That's why Mr. Mo asked me to buy a new one." Snored. After Mo asked, she snorted coldly, "Then this secretary is too clumsy and can't even do such a simple thing. Wei Zheng, are you telling the truth? You didn't lie to me, did you? It was really the coffee that spilled on you." A layer of cold sweat broke out on Wei Zheng's forehead, and he didn't dare to reach out to wipe it. "Madam, how dare I lie to you? It's really like this." Seeing that Madame Mo seemed to believe what Wei Zheng said, Shenro turned her head angrily and glared at Wei Zheng. "Assistant Wei, please don't lie to Madam. If Madam finds out that you lied to her, do you know what will happen to you?" Wei Zheng. Shit. How come he never found the eldest daughter of the Shen family so annoying before? I used to think she was a very nice person. As expected, you can know people by their faces but not their hearts. Can't you just look at people by their superficial appearance? Miss Shen, how dare I lie to Madam? Besides, I have no need to lie to Madam. Wei Zheng took a deep breath, endured the anger in his heart, and said with a smile on his face, "Miss Shen, you are worrying too much." "Really?" Shenro sneered and raised her lips, "Of course it's best that you didn't lie to Madam. If you did." The words have not been finished, but the threat is self-evident. Wei Zheng. Asterisk. Wei Zheng followed Mo and Shenro to the president's office floor with fear. When he got out of the elevator, he glanced in the direction of the president's office, secretly praying that his Mr. Mo wouldn't still be with the young lady. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 982. Chapter 982. I don't want to quarrel with you. He was a little worried. After all, Mr. Mo of his family is very energetic, so this possibility is not impossible. If Mo really finds out that he lied, he will be in misery. Although he believed that Mr. Mo could save him, he was still afraid of making his wife angry. He is not mentally strong enough to pretend that nothing happened. Walking outside the office, Wei Zheng knocked on the door anxiously. "Mr. Mo, I bought the young lady's clothes. Should I take them in now, or?" The implication is that if it is inconvenient, he will come back later. "Come in." Fortunately, Mo Yesi spoke quickly, and from the sound, it didn't sound like he was still in progress. Wei Zheng couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He reached out and pushed open the door. Walking into the office, he let out another long breath when he saw Mo Yesi, neatly dressed, sitting at a black desk reviewing documents. "Even the steps under my feet have become much lighter." He walked quickly towards Mo Yesi, walked to the desk, and said in a low voice, "Mr. Mo, Madam, and Miss Shen are here." Mo Yesi, who was reviewing documents, frowned. He raised his head and saw Mrs. Mo and Shenro walking in hand. After Shenro walked into the office, she immediately searched for Chiao Mian. After looking around and seeing no one, she couldn't help but frown. Didn't Wei Zheng say that Chiao Mian was also there? Why is there no one now? Could it be that Wei Zheng had notified her in advance just now, so she hid? If she just stayed in Mo Yesi's office normally, there would be no need to hide. Unless... Shenro clenched her fists and her face turned ugly again. That Chiao Mian is really shameless. It's broad daylight, I can't stand it anymore, in a place like the office, just. She must have relied on these charming tricks to confuse Mo Yesi. Shameless, really shameless. ACI, what's your expression? What, you don't want to see me now? Do you still want to sever the mother-child relationship with me after a while? Mrs. Mo has been with Mo Yesi since she was last. After the phone was blocked, the mother and son had no contact with each other. Now seeing Mo Yesi's stern face, the anger that had been accumulated before suddenly burst out. Her son, who had been filial to her since he was a child and listened to her words, is now so cold and disrespectful to her. How can she accept it? Mo Yesi glanced at Shenro, who was standing next to Mrs. Mo with a stern face, took a deep breath and said, "Mom, why are you here? You didn't even tell me in advance." Mrs. Mo snorted coldly and said angrily, "Why, what kind of military base are you here, and I can't come here yet? Why should I tell you in advance? Can you guard against me? You know that's not what I meant." Mo Yesi stretched out his hand to rub his eyebrows, feeling a little headache, and said, "Mom, can we talk properly? I don't want to quarrel with you." "So, you think I'm here to quarrel with you?" Mrs. Mo became extremely angry when she thought of the previous blocking of her cell phone. Mo Yesi. He felt his head hurt even more. He looked at Mrs. Mo helplessly. "I never said that, please don't misinterpret my meaning." "Wei Zheng, go make Mrs. Mo a cup of tea and bring it in." "Yes, Mr. Mo." Wei Zheng put the clothes bag on the desk and turned around and went out. Mrs. Mo also looked around the office and couldn't help but ask, "Isn't there another person? Why didn't I see anyone?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 983. Chapter 983. There will be no one else except her. Mrs. Mo was unwilling to admit Chiao Mian's identity. So when talking about her, I don't even want to mention her name. Mo Yesi also noticed this, and his expression turned ugly. "Mom, are you talking about your daughter-in-law? She is sleepy, so I will let her go to the lounge to sleep for a while." Hearing the word daughter-in-law, Mrs. Mo's face froze. This is undoubtedly a mockery to her. She has always felt that her two sons are the best in the world, and the other half she will find in the future must be a well-matched and equally outstanding girl. Especially, she has always loved her younger son Moyesi more than her eldest son Mo Shixiu. Unexpectedly, the youngest son she loved the most would do something that disappointed her so much. Ever since he was a child, Moyesi has been very sensible. He has his own opinions on everything he does and can do it well. He never lets them worry about it. Everything he does has never let them down. Hence, she was particularly reassured about her youngest son. Unexpectedly, he never worried her about other things. However, she was completely disappointed in the life events that mattered most to her. Married a woman whom she despised from the bottom of her heart. Now it's because of that woman that even she, the mother, doesn't care. This made Mrsmo angry and sad, feeling that her son was really wasted. Daughter-in-law, Mrsmo thought of what happened before and felt angry. She couldn't help but sneered and said, "I have never admitted that that woman is my daughter-in-law. You just made your own decisions and married them without saying a word. If a woman comes home, I won't recognize her. In my heart, there is only one choice for my daughter-in-law, and that is Rura." Moyesi had always been concerned about Mrsmo's identity before, thinking that she was his elder after all. Even though he felt uncomfortable, he did not say anything too radical. Afraid that the relationship between mother and child will become more rigid. From childhood to adulthood, he knew clearly how Mrsmo treated him. He didn't really want to get into trouble with Mrsmo over such a thing. No matter what, Mrsmo is his mother and the person he is closest to. Moyesi still wanted to resolve the so-called conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. It's just that no matter how capable he is, he can't handle everything perfectly. Especially for Mrsmo, whose prejudice and dislike for Chiao Mian have been deeply engraved in her bones, it will be even harder for him to change her mind. Even if Mrsmo was dissatisfied with Chiao Mian before, she didn't make it too obvious because of the old lady. On the surface, it's passable. At this moment, she directly expressed her displeasure. It was said in front of him. Moyesi's expression suddenly changed. He did not ask Mrsmo to like Chiao Mian as much as he did. However, as his elder and closest relative, if he cannot even love Wujaiwu, he will feel very disappointed and very chilled. Mrsmo knew how much he liked and cared about Chiao Mian. But he said such words in front of him. Not only did she not take Chiao Mian seriously, she also didn't even care about his son. At this moment, Moyesi no longer cared about the relationship between mother and son, and said with a black face, "Mom, I will tell you directly. In this life, your daughter-in-law will only be one person, and that is my wife Chiao Mian. There will be no one but her." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 984. Chapter 984 ACI, Are you still angry with me? After finishing speaking, he didn't care about Mrsmo's reaction. He turned his head and looked at Shenro with cold eyes. "I remember I told you, don't come here to see me again. I didn't tell you. It's clear, you still think I'm joking with you." Shenro couldn't help but shudder when she faced his deep, dark eyes that were so cold that she couldn't feel a trace of warmth. Of course she knew what Moyesi had said to her before. It was because Mrsmo was with her today that she had the confidence to come. She thought that even if she and Moyesi really had a bad fight before, they had known each other for more than 20 years, so he couldn't really treat her like a stranger. But just now in front of Mrsmo, he didn't save any face for her, which made her face feel extremely dull. For a moment, her face looked a little ugly. She bit her lip and forced a smile and said, "ACI, are you still angry with me? I thought that after so many days, you should have calmed down long ago. Didn't you say angry things before?" It's not like we haven't quarreled before, and you've also made angry remarks me, I've never taken it seriously. She said this, but she knew very well in her heart whether Moyesi was talking angrily to her. Say this, it's just to save some face for herself. Moyesi's eyes became colder. Who told you that what I said was angry? Do you think that if you come here with my mother, I can't do anything to you? Shenro, don't play these clever tricks. You should. I've made it clear to you, people should be self-aware, don't force me to say more ugly things. What kind of attitude do you have? How could you treat a girl like Ruro like this? MRSMO grabbed Shenro's hand with a very obvious protective intention, frowned and said dissatisfiedly, Rura grew up with you. Our MO family also treats her like a daughter. You are treating her like this for something that is not very important. Are you going to break up with her? ACI, what are you thinking about? You are my son who I raised, but I don't understand you at all now. What's wrong with you? You weren't like this before. Isn't it a very important matter? Moyesi looked at Shenro with cold and sharp eyes, so you filed a complaint with your mother. Do you think the things you did are not too excessive? Do you still feel that you have been wronged? Up. I didn't. There was a look of fear on Shenro's face, and she leaned towards MRSMO, holding onto MRSMO's arm, looking very scared. I didn't complain to Aunt Moaci, please don't do this, okay? I am really scared. I know what I did was wrong, and I apologize to you. I can even apologize to Mian. As long as you can forgive me, I will do anything you ask me to do. But, you are not willing to give me a chance. I never thought about complaining to Aunt Mo. I just thought it was necessary for Aunt Mo to know our current relationship, so I told her about that matter. I didn't tell any lies to Aunt Mo either. I told her everything I did. If you don't believe me, you can ask Aunt Mo. That's right, Rura told me all those things. MRSMO patted the back of Shenro's hand distressedly, with a look of doting and indulgence on her face. Rura did not do the right thing, but she already knew she was wrong. It's because I care about you so much that I do that. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 985. Chapter 985. I can never admit her. Can't you forgive her once? I don't think she did something unforgivable. If she didn't like you and didn't care about you, would she have done that? ACI, I brought her here this time just in the hope that you two can reconcile. You are a grown man, so you can't be big-hearted. How can you compete with a girl? You still have to break up with us. There are so many people from our Mo family and Shen family. The friendship is there, the elders of the two families are still fine. What does it look like for a junior like you to break up the friendship? Isn't it a joke? Rura has already apologized to you. What else do you want from her? Moyesi waited expressionlessly for MRSMO to finish speaking. After a moment of silence, he said coldly, Mom, from your point of view, that is not an unforgivable thing, but from my point of view, it is. It's not that I didn't give her a chance. As a result, it's just that she is getting worse and worse. If you came here to plead for her, you will definitely be disappointed. MRSMO was stunned for a while, and her face gradually turned ugly. Even if I help you to plead for mercy, you still refuse to give me this face. It doesn't matter who helps me beg for mercy. Although Moyesi was talking to MRSMO, his eyes were looking at Shenro, and he said coldly and indifferently, if you hurt someone I care about, no matter who it is, I have no feelings. Face to face. If I forgive her, I will feel sorry for my wife. MRSMO was extremely angry and felt humiliated. Is that woman so important to you? I think you are obsessed with ghosts. You don't even know what you are doing now. Moyesi's eyes darkened. Mom, that's your daughter-in-law. I hope you change your title. Daughter-in-law, MRSMO was irritated by his attitude and said angrily, "I will never recognize her. For her to want to be the daughter-in-law of my MO family, she is dreaming. She thought she married into the MO family, can you sit back and relax? I tell you, I will not recognize her identity. If you have the ability to disown her, I will pretend that I never gave birth to your son." Mo Yesi pursed his lips and his face darkened. MRSMO looked at him unwillingly. Shenro on the side watched the mother and son clashing swords with each other, a sneer flashing in her eyes. She wished that the relationship between MRSMO and Mo Yesi would become more and more tense. In this way, MRSMO's disgust and dissatisfaction with Jiao Mian will become deeper and deeper. The more MRSMO hates Jiao Mian, the more she likes her and the more she wants her to marry Mo Yesi. As long as MRSMO helps, there is still a chance for everything. When the conflict between Mo Yesi and MRSMO became more and more intense, Jiao Mian had already woken up in the lounge. She listened to all the conversations between MRSMO and Mo Yesi, including what Shenro said. When she heard MRSMO's sonorous and resolute words, "I will never recognize her as my daughter-in-law," even if she had known that MRSMO didn't like her, her heart was inevitably hurt. "I am so disgusted by my mother-in-law that no matter how strong my heart is and how indifferent I act, I can't really not care at all." But Mo Yesi's firm defense made her feel particularly warm in her heart. He was not biased because MRSMO was his mother. He did not let her feel wronged at this time. This point made her feel particularly touched. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 986. Chapter 986. She really likes him very much. If MRSMO and Shenro weren't still outside, she would have wanted to rush out, hug him and kiss him. How can her husband be so great? She really likes him very much. At this moment, she was really glad that she had chosen to marry him. If you miss such a man, you will probably regret it for the rest of your life. Jiao Mian stood at the door and saw MRSMO's increasingly ugly face through the crack in the door. She thought for a while, then took her mobile phone and sent a WeChat message to Mo Yesi, "Husband, I just heard Mom's voice. Is she here? Please bring me the clothes quickly. Mom is here. I have to go out and see her." MRSMO doesn't like Jiao Mian, and Jiao Mian naturally doesn't like her either. Originally, she could continue to pretend to be asleep and there was no need to go out to see MRSMO. She didn't want to see MRSMO. But after thinking about it, he decided to go out and say hello to MRSMO. No matter what, MRSMO is also Mo Yesi's biological mother. Even though she can't love her now, she still can't lose the basic respect. No matter what MRSMO does to her. As a daughter-in-law, she just needs to do what she should do well. At least, she must have a clear conscience. She no longer wants to force things that cannot be forced. For her now, the only person she cares about is Mo Yesi. As long as he is always standing by her side. She doesn't care about other people. Outside the lounge, Mo Yesi's cell phone placed on his desk dinged. After he saw the WeChat message Jiao Mian sent him, he put down his phone and picked up the clothes bag on the table. Without greeting MRSMO and Shenro, she turned around and walked directly into the lounge. Because of his move, MRSMO's face suddenly darkened. My chest heaved up and down with anger. "And Mo, don't be angry." Shenro bit her lips gently, with a gentle and considerate look. "Brother ACI is not targeting you, he just doesn't want to see me. I'd better go." Bar. She blinked, her eyes slightly red and said, "I shouldn't have come. I don't want to make you and brother ACI so unhappy because of me. What did you say? The angrier MRSMO was at Mo Yesi, the more she felt that Shenro was sensible. At this moment, she only hated Shenro for not being her daughter. It would be great if she had a daughter who was so sensible, obedient, and caring. She wouldn't have been vomited like this. Rura, this has nothing to do with you. MRSMO looked at the closed door of the lounge and gritted her teeth with hatred. It's all that little vixen. As soon as she married into the Mo family, she caused such disharmony in our family. What are you afraid of when you leave? Even if she marries ACI, she is nothing. I have to wait for that vixen to come out today. I want to see what she dares to do to me. Shenro looked at the hatred and dissatisfaction in MRSMO's eyes, and the calculation and success flashed through her eyes. Asterisk. In the lounge. Chiao Mian changed her clothes and went to the bathroom to tidy up. After making sure her appearance was fine, she followed Mo Yesi out. At the door, Mo Yesi stopped, looked down at her, and hesitated. Do you really want to go out? If you don't want to. Husband, I know that my mother is here, but I still hide inside and don't go out to see her. This is not good. She is your mother, and now she is also my mother. I must respect her. And with you here with me, I know you will definitely protect me, right? End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 987. Chapter 987. No one can bully you. The man's deep eyes deepened, and he lowered his voice and said, scream again. Chiao Mian blinked and asked knowingly, what are you calling me for again? She was so proactive in this kind of thing for the first time because of his previous performance. Mo Yesi put his arm around her waist and tightened it, squeezing her slender waist with his fingers. His eyes were focused and affectionate, and his tone was a little domineering, but with heart-warming tenderness. Call me husband. Chiao Mian blinked again, the corners of her lips raised sweetly. Didn't you scream just now? If you haven't heard enough, call me again. The man's request was not excessive. Thinking of how he had defended her in front of MRSMO before, Chiao Mian felt warm in her heart. She looked at him with soft eyes and called out again in a soft voice, husband. Mo Yesi's Adam's apple rolled twice. He lowered his head, his eyes burning. This kind of look was all too familiar to Chiao Mian. She is afraid that men will do something irrational on impulse. MRSMO and Shenro are still outside. She didn't want them to think that she was still restless in broad daylight and was pestering Mo Yesi in a coquettish way. Mom is still outside. Chiao Mian patted the man's arm and said with warning in her eyes, don't mess around. Mo Yesi said nothing, his deep gaze stayed on her for a moment. He took a deep breath and slowly calmed down his breathing. The arm around her waist still did not let go. When he spoke again, his voice was not as hoarse as before, I know. Baby, of course I will protect you. No one can bully you except me. I just don't want to make you unhappy. I want to do many things as perfectly as possible to satisfy everyone. However, many things are beyond my control. Mom still misunderstands you, and I can't change it for a while. Her thoughts may inevitably make you feel a little wronged. Chiao Mian nodded and expressed understanding. You don't have to worry, I know everything. I'm not RMB, so I can't make everyone like me. In fact, I am very satisfied with you and Grandma pampering me. Even though she said this, Mo Yesi still had a hint of apology in his eyes. No matter what, I still made you feel wronged. I'm not wronged at all. Chiao Mian met the man's self-blaming eyes and reached out to hug him. My husband is so good to me, gives me so much happiness, and makes me live so happily every day. How can I feel wronged? I am very happy, and very satisfied with my current life. Mo Yesi, you gave me all this. Chiao Mian affirmed him word for word, "You have done a very good job, I don't allow you to blame yourself." Mo Yesi lowered his eyes and looked at the petite and soft girl in his arms, and a certain part of his heart that was touched by her words became particularly soft. His eyes also became softer, he reached out and touched her head lovingly, and said softly, "Okay, then I won't blame myself. I will try to do better and give my wife more love happiness." Asterisk. The two of them walked out of the lounge hand in hand. As soon as Shenro saw the scene of the two people closely relying on each other, her face darkened uncontrollably. Mrsmo also had a cold face, and her face became even colder when she saw Chiao Mian. As soon as Chiao Mian walked out, she was faced with two cold faces. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 988. Chapter 988. Hey, Miss Shen is here too? She pretended not to know anything and took the initiative to greet Mrsmo, "Mom, you're here. I'm sorry, I fell asleep just now and didn't come out to greet you immediately." "Hey, Miss Shen is here too." Chiao Mian looked at Shenro and deliberately pretended to be surprised and surprised. "Husband, you just told me that Mom was here, but you didn't tell me that Miss Shen was here too. Did Miss Shen come here with Mom?" Mo Yesi did not tell her that Shenro was here too. But Chiao Mian knew it. She heard Mrsmo and Shenro talking outside. She said this deliberately because she wanted to be calm and gentle. She knew what Shenro cared about most, so she also knew how to make her feel unhappy. Shenro's face was already very ugly when she called Mo Yesi husband. By the time she finished speaking, the gloomy look in Shenro's eyes was almost overflowing. Chiao Mian looked at the gloomy expression on her face that wanted to get angry but had to hold it in. She raised her lips and said with a smile, "Mom, Miss Shen, sit down quickly. By the way, what do you want to drink? Has the secretary gone to prepare?" She was talking to Mrsmo and Shenro as if she were the hostess. After doing this, Mrsmo and Shenro's faces turned 2 shades darker at the same time. Mrsmo is a little better, but Shenro's face is already ugly. Because Chiao Mian was mainly targeting her. Those words just now were mainly meant for her. Shenro is not stupid, of course she feels it. But in front of Mrsmo and Mo Yesi, she could only suppress her anger and pretend not to know anything. Even so, when she saw Chiao Mian holding Mo Yesi's arm so intimately and calling him husband again and again, Shenro was almost going crazy with jealousy. What she couldn't accept even more was the look in Mo Yesi's eyes when he looked at Chiao Mian. Such a focus on pampering. It was as if he could only see Chiao Mian in his eyes. Such a focused and affectionate look had never appeared in her dreams. If he would look at her with the same look, she would probably think that she was the happiest person in the world. However, she guarded him for more than 20 years. He gave all his affection to another woman. She is really unwilling to do so. If liking him was destined to be like this, then what would she have put in over the past 20 years? He was not even moved. The more Shenro thought about it, the sadder she became. She endured it again and again, but she still couldn't hold it back. She said sourly, "Miss Chiao doesn't have to greet us. And Mo comes to her son's company. How dare the secretary neglect her? Miss Chiao needs to worry about these things." "But Miss Chiao just said that you were asleep, so she didn't know we were here. I think it's not too early now, and it's past lunch break time. How could Miss Chiao sleep at this hour?" Shenro's words sounded normal on the surface. But anyone with a little bit of care can tell that there is another meaning in her words. As soon as she finished speaking, Mrsmo's face darkened beside her. "Rura is right. ACI is my son. I came to my son's company, and there are many people to entertain me. There are no outsiders here. Why are you so polite? What time is it now, and you are still sleeping. It's early or late. You didn't sleep, but you were sleeping when Rura and I came over. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 989. Chapter 989. You can do whatever you want with me. Only you know whether you are sleeping or not. MRSMO hadn't thought so much at first. But after hearing what Shenro said just now, I instantly felt dissatisfied with Jiao Mian. She felt that Jiao Mian did it on purpose. Knowing that she was coming, he deliberately hid inside and refused to come out. She became more and more dissatisfied with her daughter-in-law, who was so arrogant and disrespectful. You know that those who come from a small family cannot be good at anything. It's either a good match or it's not good enough. If her daughter-in-law were Rura, how could she be so dissatisfied? The excellent son she had raised since he was a child was abducted by such a woman. It was simply too hateful. Mo Yesi frowned. Mom, you. Mom, I'm really sleeping. Jiao Mian grabbed Mo Yesi's arm, raised her head, gave him a becalm look, and then said to MRSMO with a smile, I'll wait for ACI during dinner. He was busy with work and couldn't accompany me, so I didn't want to disturb him, so I went in and slept for a while. I really didn't know you were here, or I didn't know until he came in and woke me up just now. If I made Mom feel uncomfortable, then I want to apologize to you. MRSMO opened her mouth, but before she could say anything, Mo Yesi said coldly, what are you apologizing for? You didn't mean it. What's wrong at this time? Why can't you sleep? Who stipulates what is necessary for sleeping? Can't sleep well enough. You are the boss wife of the Mo family, let alone sleeping in your own company. Even if you find someone to share a table with and play mahjong in the office, no one dares to say anything to you. Shenro's face turned white with a swipe. Mo Yesi's words were aimed at her. Such behavior is undoubtedly a slap in the face in public, or a slap kind of slap in the face. Even if Mo Yesi didn't give her face, he still didn't give her face in front of Jiao Mian. For a moment, Shenro's face alternated between blue and white, and her expression was extremely ugly. Jiao Mian is of course quite satisfied with her husband's strong maintenance. She said very cooperatively, can I really find someone to join a table and play mahjong in your office? Mo Yesi lowered his head, not caring about what MRSMO and Shenro would think, and said with a doting look on his face, of course. I told you, you can do anything you want here with me. Honey, you are so kind. Thank you for being so kind to me. I am really happy and satisfied to be able to marry you and be your wife. Jiao Mian glanced at the extremely dark faces of MRSMO and Shenro from the corner of her eye, feeling that she could work harder to make them feel a little more depressed. She understood it anyway. MRSMO's dislike of her has been deeply rooted. No matter what she says or does, this won't change. So, she was too lazy to try to please him and tried to ease the relationship between them. She just needs to get some superficial things in place. This is also to prevent Mo Yesi from being embarrassed. She no longer likes MRSMO, who is also Mo Yesi's biological mother. This relationship cannot be changed in a lifetime. There was no way she could let Mo Yesi give up his own mother for her sake. Mo Yesi had long seen her little thoughts, but he saw through it without telling her. His handsome face was full of indulgence, and he even patted her head cooperatively and said softly, I am very happy and satisfied to be able to marry you and be your husband. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 990. Chapter 990. Looks like he might faint from anger at any time. The two of them showed off their love as if no one else was around. MRSMO and Shenro seemed to have become transparent people. One of them was livid and the other was pale. They both looked at Jiao Mian with the same gaze, wanting to poke a hole in her body. MRSMO was so angry that she gritted her teeth. This little vixen is so shameless. Even in front of her, she flirted with her son and flirted with her son. Privately, I still don't know what it will be like. MRSMO suddenly thought of Wei Zheng going shopping for clothes. Wei Zheng said that coffee spilled on her and soiled her clothes, so she had to buy a new set. But MRSMO believed Wei Zheng's words at first, but now she has deep doubts. In front of her, this woman behaved so inappropriately. It can be seen that he is not a peaceful person. It's not surprising that such a woman would do something outrageous. Speaking of spilling coffee on yourself, I'm afraid it's... MRSMO's face was extremely dark, and her hands were trembling with anger. How could there be such a shameless woman? It doesn't matter that he is of poor background, he is still so dissolute and ignorant at heart. How could such a vixen be worthy of her son? At this moment, MRSMO made up her mind. No matter what, she could not let Jiao Mian stay in the Mo family. In a family like the Mo family, having a daughter-in-law like this would ruin the family style and make people laugh. From now on, the entire Mahist family will become the laughing stock of the upper class. She has been famous for so many years, but she cannot afford to be embarrassed like this. So no matter what, she couldn't let Jiao Mian stay in the Mo family. She couldn't just watch the Mo family become a joke in the eyes of others. ACI, if you want to be affectionate with your wife, you can do it anytime. Now, I have something to say to you. You ask her to avoid it. MRSMO only asked Jiao Mian to avoid it, but did not ask Shenro to avoid it. Avoid. Even though she was her own mother, Mo Yesi didn't give her much face. He said directly, Mian is not an outsider. Is there anything that she needs to avoid? Mom, if you have anything to say, just say it directly. There is no need to avoid it. Seeing him defending Jiao Mian again and again, as if he was a precious child, fearing that she would be wronged in the slightest, the anger in MRSMO's heart slowly rose up a few feet, and she was so angry that her head was smoking. Since I asked her to avoid it, it's not convenient to say it in front of her. What's wrong? Just asking her to avoid it makes you feel distressed. Am I a vicious witch? You are so afraid of what I will do to her. You won't take anything I say seriously now, will you? Mo Yesi, do you still think of me as your mother? Do you think that by marrying a wife, you don't even want your mother? MRSMO became angrier as she spoke, and the last few words were shouted out. There is absolutely no image of the usual elegant lady. Now she seems to have a lot of life and seems to be much more down to earth. There is a faint smell of gunpowder smoke in the air. Jiao Mian watched MRSMO's chest heaving violently with anger, her face was turning blue, and she looked like she would faint from anger at any time, and she couldn't help but worry about whether she would really faint from anger. If MRSMO really fainted, even if it was not their fault, she would be labeled as disobedient and unfilial. She thought for a while and decided to take a step back. ACI, I'd better avoid it. I just want to go out for some air, so you can have a good chat with Mom. End of this chapter.